Hello everyone, myself Varna. On behalf of our department Biochemistry, I am here to welcome you all to the second year and also to the second year subject Biochemistry. A hearty welcome to all. My name is Varna and there are various other faculties in our department who will be joining to you through video classes. Since it is pandemic, we cannot see each other, but we will be communicating through our videos and through the WhatsApp group. So, the videos will be created and will be uploaded in YouTube, and we will be sharing the link through the WhatsApp groups created. So, I wish all of you a very successful year, and I request every one of you to watch the videos and make notes and to study the subject. I hope all of you are doing well. Okay, so we'll move on to the subject. I'll just introduce myself. My name is Varna, and I'm here to introduce to the subject biochemistry. So first you need to know what is biochemistry. Biochemistry is a combination of biology with the chemistry. Biochemistry is the language of biology. So, you are studying in biochemistry, you will be studying the chemistry of the biological process in cellular level. So, biochemistry is the chemistry which is occurring in various biological process in cellular level. Biochemistry is the application of chemistry to the study of biological process at cellular and molecular level. It is essential to understand the basic functions of a body. Biochemistry gives information regarding the functioning of the cell at a molecular level. So, in biochemistry you will be getting various informations, how the food we eat is digested, absorbed, and it is used to make various ingredients of our body. So, in biochemistry you will be learning how the diet which we are taking, it is digested, absorbed, stored, utilized, various these things you will be learning. Next thing you will be learning about how energy is derived from these stored digested products for our normal day-to-day activities. How body derives energy from normal day-to-day work. You will also be learning about the interrelation between the metabolic process, various metabolic process, how they are interrelated. In biochemistry, you will also be learning about genetics. You will be learning various functions of the genes, and you will also be learning about immunology. Metabolism, you will be learning about metabolism, then you will be learning about genes, then you will be learning about immunology, then clinical applications will be there. How a disease, how biochemistry is related to diseases and it is diagnosis and to drugs. So, you will also be learning pharmaceutical applications, drug applications also is related with biochemistry. You will be learning the molecular basis of immunological resistance against invading organisms. So, how various other bacteria or virus, that is the foreign bodies entering in our body, how the immune system is responding to that. That is also learned in biochemistry. Then clinical diagnosis. Biochemistry is widely applied in clinical diagnosis. 70% of the clinical diagnosis is based on the laboratory analysis of body fluids, especially the blood. Disease manifestation reflected in the composition of blood and other tissues. So, if there is a disease, if we are infected with a disease, it will be reflected in the blood composition. So, blood is made up of various blood composition found in the blood will be varying if there is a disease condition in us, and various other tissues also. Tissues also will be affected if there is a disease condition in us. So, all this variation we are learning and we are applying for the cure of that disease. Study of biochemistry also aim to define the abnormal and normal constants of body. So, by learning biochemistry you will be learning how to differentiate between abnormal and normal constants which is present in the blood, body or other tissues. So, you can differentiate between what is normal constituent and what is abnormal constituent, so that you can say whether the patient or the person is infected or not, then whether the drug is affecting that patient or not. So, that and all can be analyzed in the clinical biochemistry. Okay, next we will see what is the principle in biochemistry. The principle is based upon the cells. So, you have learned what is cell. What is the definition for cell? It is the basic structural unit of a living organism. This you would have learned in your earlier classes. They are highly organized and constant source of energy is required to maintain the ordered state. So, cell is the basic structure. Cell has a nucleus, nucleus has a genetic material, DNA, RNA, etc. Living processes contains thousands of chemical reactions, and precise regulation and integration of these reactions are required in order to maintain the life. So, in these cells there will be thousands of chemical reactions which is occurring. So, in biochemistry we will be learning all these chemical reactions in cellular levels. Precise regulation and integration of these reactions are required. So, these reactions should be regulated and integrated in order for the proper functioning of maintenance of life. These regulations, these chemical reactions need to be regulated. The smallest unit of life is cell, and these cells there are thousands of chemical reactions which is taking place, and these chemical reactions should be properly regulated and integrated for the normal functioning of the life. If there is any alteration in the regulation or integration, it can lead to several disease conditions. Certain important reactions include glycolysis. Glycolysis, you know how glucose is being utilized for the energy. Glycolysis is found in almost all organisms. That is how energy is yielded for a day-to-day activity. Glycolysis, glycogen is utilized for the is converted into energy, and it is utilized by the body for the normal day-to-day activities. So, it is seen in almost all organisms. That is example for one reactions which is seen in all organisms. All organisms use the same type of molecules, that is CHO, protein, lipids and nucleic acids. And this energy is utilized for the growth, reproduction and development of each organism is encoded in their DNA. Instructions for growth, reproduction and development of each organism is encoded in the genetic material, that is the DNA. So, cells, we will just revise about cells. It is a basic building block of life. It is the smallest living unit of an organism. It helps in grow, reproduce, use energy, adapt and respond to their environment. Many cannot be seen with our naked eyes. Cells cannot be seen with the naked eyes. It can be seen only through microscopic view. A cell may be an entire organism, or it may be one of billions of cells which make up the organism. Several cells combine to form molecules, and molecules combine to form the tissues, and tissues combine to form the organism. So, it may be a single organism. We also have a single celled organisms. So, it can be a single cell, or it can be one of the billions of cells which make up the organism. Cells are divided into prokaryotic or eukaryotic. Prokaryotic includes bacteria and it lacks a nucleus or a membrane bar. It is brown structures called as organelles. Eukaryotics includes most other cells and have a nucleus and a membrane. Then these are the parts of the cells. You all know nucleus is there, cell membrane is there, cytoplasm is there. So, all these you have already learned in your previous classes. Nucleotide regions contains the DNA, cell membrane, cell wall. Then it also contains ribosome without membrane to make the protein in their cytoplasm. Then three basic cell structures include nucleus, cell membrane, cytoplasm with organelles. Then mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. This already you know. Next, let us see what is a biomolecule. Biomolecules, just like cells, are the building blocks of tissues. Likewise, molecules are building blocks of cells. Cells are the building blocks of tissues. Cells combine to form biomolecules or the tissues. Animals and plant cells contain approximately 10,000 kinds of molecules, biomolecules. Then water constituents of these tissues will be 50 to 95% of the cells content by the weight. Out of these, 50 to 95% will be water content. Then you will be having ions. These tissues will be having, or these biomolecules will be having ions like sodium, potassium, calcium may account to another 1%. Ions like sodium, potassium, calcium constitute about 1%. Then almost all these kinds of biomolecules are organic. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, all these will be organic constituents, which is C. Infinite variety of molecules contain carbon. Most biomolecules considered to be derived from hydrocarbons. Biomolecules are derived from hydrocarbons. The chemical properties of organic biomolecules are determined by the functional group. The chemical property of the organic biomolecules are determined by the functional group. Most biomolecules have more than one group. Major classes of small biomolecules include, first one is the amino acids. You all know what are amino acids. They are the building blocks of proteins. Amino acids combine together to form proteins. There are 20 commonly occurring amino acids and contains amino groups and carboxy groups, functioning group, which determines the behavioral property of that amino acid. So, amino acids are combining to form proteins, and these amino acids have amino or the carboxyl group, which is the functional group, which is determining the behavioral property of that amino acid. The R group or the side chains determines the chemical property of each amino acid. It also determines how the protein folds and its biological function. So, it is the biological function and the property, chemical property is all determined by the R group or the functional group which is present. Individual amino acid in protein is connected by peptide bond. So, amino acids forms peptide bond to form a protein. Individual amino acid in the protein is connected by the peptide bond. So, each amino acid is connected to each other by the peptide bonds and it is forming the proteins. And proteins have functions as transport proteins. There are certain proteins, transport protein. For example, hemoglobin. It's a protein which helps in the, you all know what is hemoglobin, which is present in the blood for the transport of oxygen. So, hemoglobin is a protein which is helping in transport of oxygen from the lungs to various other tissues. So, it is an example for a transport protein. Next is other functions like structural protein, which helps to form the structure of an organ. Then enzymes. Enzymes are also example for proteins. Enzymes catalyzes a reaction. Every chemical reaction is being catalyzed by a enzyme. If there is an enzyme defect, then that reaction is not completed, and if the reaction is not completed, it can lead to various disease conditions. Then antibodies, antigen antibody reactions, you know how it is helping in the immune system to eliminate the foreign bodies, antigen antibodies. So, that is another example. Then cell receptors, these are all examples of proteins. According to their functions, it is divided into structural which helps in maintaining the structure of the organism, then transport protein, which helps in the transport of one thing to another place, then you have antibodies for immunity, then what else? Then enzymes, which is helping in the catalyzing the reaction, etc. Okay, next let's see what are sugars which is present in the body. Sugars, carbohydrates is the most abundant organic molecule found in the nature, initially synthesized in plants from a complex series of reactions involving photosynthesis. Sugar mainly in the form of carbohydrate, it is present in our body, and this carbohydrates is obtained from plants, and plants are forming these carbohydrates by the photosynthesis process. You all know what is photosynthesis. Then this basic unit is monosaccharide. Monosaccharides is the basic unit of carbohydrates. Monosaccharides can form large molecules like glycogen, plant starch and cellulose. Examples of sugar is glycogen, plant starch and cellulose, and its function is to store energy in the form of starch. Photosynthesis in the plant will produce starch, and the energy is stored in the form of starch or glycogen. Glycogen mainly in animals and humans, it is stored, the energy is stored in the form of glycogen. Glucose is utilized and it is remaining excess glucose is converted into glycogen in order to keep it for keep the excess glucose which is present in our body is converted to glycogen, so that it can be utilized whenever there is a defect in glucose. Whenever glucose level is lowering, the glycogen is breaking down to release energy. Then another function is to provide energy through metabolism pathways and cycles. So, its one main function is to store energy, then to provide energy and to supply carbon for synthesis of other compounds, and next function is to form structural compounds in the cells and tissues, and then intercellular communications. So, sugars are utilized for energy, for storage purpose, then to synthesize other compounds by utilizing the carbon atom, then it also helps in forming the structural compounds. Structure of cells and tissues are formed with the help of the sugars, then intracellular communication is also occurring with its help. Next one is fatty acids. Fatty acids are monocarboxylic acid which contains even number carbon atoms. Monocarboxylic acid containing even number carbon atoms, and it is these fatty acids which is found in our body is divided into two, saturated and unsaturated. Fatty acids are compounds of several lipid molecules. Examples for these lipids are triglycerols, steroids like cholesterol and sex hormones, then other fat soluble vitamins. Examples for fatty acids. So, fat soluble vitamins, they contains fatty acids, then triacylglycerol TG, and hormones, various hormones, that is the steroids, all these contains fatty acids. So, fatty acids are utilized for the synthesis of hormones, then it is seen in triacylglycerols, then in various other fat soluble vitamins. Its function is to storage of energy in the form of fat. So, fatty acids helps in the storage of energy in the form of fat. Then fatty acids forms the structure of cell membrane. Then fatty acids helps in insulation. It acts as a thermal blanket. By forming the fat, we are insulating, we are making a thermal blanket. Then this fatty acid is used for the synthesis of hormones. Since it is the composition of hormones, it is mainly made up of fats and fatty acids. So, it is helping in the synthesis of hormones. Next, let us see what are biochemical reactions. So, under that you need to know what is metabolism. Metabolism, it is the total sum of chemical reaction happening in a living organism, and it is highly coordinated and purposeful activity. So, metabolism is the sum of the chemical reaction which is happening in the living organism. So, how each material, how glucose metabolism, how for example glucose metabolism, if you are taking, how this glucose is being metabolized in our body. So, metabolism means it is the total chemical reaction happening in the organism. Metabolism, it is divided into anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism means energy requiring biosynthesis pathway. It requires energy, it is utilizing energy for the biosynthetic pathway. Then catabolism means it is degradation of the fuel molecules and production of energy for cellular functions. So, catabolism means it is degrading itself to produce energy. Catabolism means it is synthesizing something, there is biosynthesis. So, it is synthesizing something by utilizing energy. Catabolism means it is degrading itself in order to release energy. So, hope you got the difference between anabolism and catabolism. So, metabolism is it is a total chemical reaction. It is divided into two, that is anabolism. Anabolism is synthesis by using the energy, and catabolism means it is degrading itself, that is it is releasing energy from itself for the and this energy is utilized for the cellular function. All reactions are catalyzed by enzymes. All the biochemical reactions, all these chemical reactions is catabolized or regulated by the enzymes. Enzymes catalyzes reaction. The primary functions of metabolism are, that is acquisition and utilization of energy, then synthesis of various molecules needed for the cell structure and functioning. For example, protein. Protein is synthesized in our body by the biochemical reactions. Then nucleic acid, lipids, CHO, etc. all these is by the various biochemical reactions, and that is coordinated with the help of enzymes. Then for also removal of waste product in our body. So, various metabolism helps in removal of waste products. So, for energy and its utilization, we require biochemical reactions. Biochemical reactions releases energy, and that is utilized and stored in our body. Then for various synthesis, biomolecule synthesis also we require biochemical reactions, and also for removal of waste products which is accumulated in our body, that also is by the biochemical reactions. Okay. So, all these things we will be learning in biochemistry. Next, let us have a brief discussion on the clinical biochemistry, how clinical biochemistry is helping in our day-to-day life or in medicine, how it is helping. In clinical biochemistry, the clinical scientist will help you to diagnose and manage diseases through the analysis of blood, urine and other body fluids. So, a scientist or a clinical scientist will help you in diagnosing and managing the diseases condition by analyzing your blood, urine and other body fluids. So, whenever there is a disease or disease condition, doctors will prescribe you various blood analysis or urine analysis or other body fluids, or are all sent to analyze what are the constituents, how much amount is present, it is sent to the laboratory, how much amount or what are the abnormal constituents which you see, all this is being helping in diagnosis of that diseases. For example, if you are suspecting diabetes, the doctor is suspecting diabetes on you, then doctor will write for a sugar test, blood sugar test is being given. So, you have a normal range of sugar in your blood. So, if it is more than the normal range, then you are diabetic. So, that diagnosis is done with the help of biochemistry. Various biochemical techniques is being applied in order to find that sugar level in your blood, and that is applied and your sugar level result is got, and if it is not within the normal range, then there is something abnormal. So, they are suspecting a diabetes. For example, in diabetes, if it is a sugar level, if it is more means you are diabetic, and if it is less means then you are hypoglycemic, that is glucose level is low means then you are hypoglycemic. So, they are suspecting some disease condition. So, accordingly you will be prescribed some medicines, and again these doctors will after taking the medicines, doctor will again ask you to conduct the same blood test, whether to see whether that medicine is affecting or helping to bring back that normal sugar value. Okay. So, for diagnosis and managing that disease, biochemistry is helping you all. For anyone working in medicine or a related field, acquiring sufficient biochemical knowledge is needed in order to properly understand the metabolism, function and growth of the healthy body. So, in medical field, you should have sufficient biochemical knowledge to understand the metabolism, how each thing is metabolized in our body. For example, how glucose is metabolized in our body, how glucose is utilized in our body, then how the protein is functioning in our body, how protein is synthesized, how it is degraded. All these things need to be studied, how it is metabolized, then how it is functioning, and how it is helping in growth of a normal human body. So, first you need to know that, then you need to know about the abnormal states. Any defect in that is leading to any abnormal state, then how it can be cured with any other drugs. All these need to be learned with the help of biochemistry. All diseases have a molecular basis. So, biochemistry enables us to understand the chemical process involved in the condition. So, you need to know the normal state, that is metabolism, functions and growth, how it is in normal, and when there is a disease condition, how it becomes abnormal, then how it can be cured, what are the variations you see during a diseased condition, that is helping in the diagnosis and also in the treatment. In physiology you are studying the structure of an organ. So, in physiology the study of the body structure and function is studied in physiology. The study of body function, biochemistry has broadened our understanding of how biochemical changes relate to the physiological alteration in the body. It helps us to understand the chemical aspects of biological process such as digestion, hormonal action, muscular contraction, relaxation, etc. So, biochemistry is also related with physiology. Physiology will be studying the structure and function, and in biochemistry you will be learning the biochemical reactions which is involved in that organ. In physiology you will be learning about an organ's function and structure, and in biochemistry you will be learning the biochemical changes or the reactions which is related to the physiological alteration in the body. If there is a disease condition, what is the normal state also you will be learning. In abnormal conditions, if there is any alteration, physiological alteration in the body, that also will be learned with the help of biochemistry, and it is helping the chemical aspect of the biological process. So, you will be learning digestion, hormonal action, muscle contraction and relaxation. All those process, all those functioning you will be coming across. Digestion, how the food or the diet, or you will be in diet you will be taking carbohydrates, proteins and lipids. All these are digested, in how each thing is being digested with the help of various enzymes and various organs. Then how the hormone is acting upon each reactions or each organs, how these hormones are acting and what are the alterations, if there is any decrease or increase in the hormone level, etc. Then in muscle contraction and relaxation also you will be coming across with the biochemical reactions. Then in pathology also we have application, that is the study of how there is aberrant biochemistry related to the disease conditions in human body. As I said, pathology means you will be learning about the pathogens, what are the bacteria or the viruses which is present, which is causing the disease. In pathology you will be relating to the diseases. So, various viruses or bacteria or any other enzyme defect or anything that is which is leading to the disease condition, you will be relating. What is it causing the, why is it causing the abnormal functioning or abnormal growth, all this we will be learning. In pathology, the study of the disease condition in the human body, physicians can use biochemical analysis to confirm the prediction based upon the patient testimony. Then in pharmacology, that is after diagnosing the diseases. In pathology you will be diagnosing the diseases, then in pharmacology you will be prescribing the drugs. Pharmacology means you are giving drugs for that diseases. So, the action of drugs, that is a biochemical reaction. The drugs is acting upon an organ by various biochemical reactions. So, the action of the drugs is almost always involves some change in the biochemical process. So, these drugs are causing change in the biochemical process and it is helping for the cure of the diseases. So, that also you will be learning. So, in pharmacy the biochemical testing provides indispensable insight into the drugs. So, you can learn whether the drugs is working on that disease, how far it is working, then if there is any change in the drugs is required, all these is studied with the help of biochemistry. The importance of biochemistry in medical science. Medical science cannot really exist without biochemistry. Biochemical techniques are advanced our understanding of chemical structures and processes that underpin human health and diseases is required. So, in medical science you need to know the normal functioning first, how it is normally what is the normal functioning, normal metabolism of the body, then how it is altered if there is any diseased condition, then how it can be treated. All this is done and how it is being cured, all this is studied with the help of biochemistry. The typical scope of medical biochemistry can encompass the following: the chemical composition of the human body. What are the chemical compositions of the human body? It is including carbohydrates, lipids, amino acids and proteins. Then blood, plasma, biological materials like DNA, RNA, nucleotide DNA, RNA. These are the chemical compounds of human body. So, all these chemical compounds are studied in the biochemistry, that is carbohydrates, lipids and proteins, that is included in our diet. How it is utilized or digested, absorbed and it is stored in our body and it is utilized for various activities, functioning, metabolism and synthesis, biosynthesis of various organ. So, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins and these amino acids forms the proteins. Then in blood and plasma, you all know what are the constituents of blood. What are blood made? Hemoglobin, RBC, WBC, platelets. Then plasma means the non-RBC part of the blood. Then the biological membranes, then nucleic acids like DNA and RNA, that is a genetic material. Then the major chemical processes in human body. You can know about the chemical processes which is occurring, chemical compounds, then chemical processes in the human body such as cell development, enzyme activity, membrane transport mechanism, homeostasis, blood coagulation, oxygen transport, neurotransmission, aging, etc. The chemical processes in the human body include, that is the cell development, how cell is formed and how it is developing and maturing into a mature cell. Then enzyme activities. Enzyme is acting upon a chemical reaction, catalyzing the chemical reaction. Then transport. One thing is transported from one cell to another, membrane transport mechanism, that has been learned. Homeostasis. Then coagulation, blood clotting, that is also involved by a chemical reaction. Then oxygen transport by the hemoglobin, how oxygen or gases is being transported in our body and tissues. Then neurotransmission, how neurons transmit information. Then aging, that is also a biochemical process. Then nutrition and minerals, including the role of functions of vitamins in the body. Then molecular genetics, DNA, RNA is also learned. Then hereditary matters, genomes, all these are the scopes of medical biochemistry. Thank you.